Dishonored. It's a great game. Throughout my years of playing video games, I found out that I really enjoy stealth games, and I think that Dishonored has to be one of the best, if not the best, stealth games out there. From the style of the game to the mechanics of it, Dishonored has to be one of the most unique stealth game experiences out there. There will be spoilers for Dishonored 1 and some minor spoilers for Dishonored 2 in this video, so if you haven't played either Dishonored game, either buy the game yourself or watch some gameplay videos, although personally I would recommend that you actually play them yourself because they are some great games and you owe it to yourself to actually play them. The main story of Dishonored is a pretty simple one. A rat plague is currently destroying most of Dunwall, and you, Corvo Attano, the Royal Protector, have been sent away by the Empress to investigate if there's a cure for it. You return and find that there is no cure, and you let the Empress know. However, as you are giving the news to the Empress, she is murdered right in front of you, and Emily, her daughter, is stolen. Naturally, you are the only one around the dead body, and so you're framed for the murder of the Empress and the abduction of her daughter. You're thrown into jail and saved by a loyalist group who wish to overthrow the new leadership and put Emily back on the throne by using you to get rid of key authorities. Now, I have to admit, the beginning of the story does seem a little cartoony and cliche to me, and I'm not the only one who thinks that.
Ward us all. Look at what he's done. Yes, he's killed the Empress.
This seems like a big joke. What is the story? My god.
Her own bodyguard. Ironic.
I'll see you beheaded for this, Corvo.
Who wrote this? This is fucking... Oh my... This is so bad. Are you fucking for real? This seems... awful. Okay, I won't shit on the game, but like... Wow, that's what's the oldest trope in the book. You know, he killed her. Oh, dude. Oh, dude.
If you can ignore the cliches, it does serve as a pretty decent jumping off point for the rest of the story. Selectively choosing key figures to regain control of a country is a pretty compelling story to me, and I suppose that I would have rather had the beginning happen as opposed to just being thrown into the middle of it all, although that could have happened. There are games that have thrown you into the middle of the story, and it does work just fine. After escaping from the jail, you meet some allies, and then you're free to explore the world of Dunwall, at least within the boundaries of each of the missions that you are given by your allies. Now, after the main setup is where we can really get into what Dishonored does well. Personally, I not only learn about how things are done by looking at examples of what has been done right, but I also tend to learn from examples of how things are done wrong. Because of this, I'm going to be using Dishonored 2 as an example. Dishonored 2 is by no means a bad game, but I don't think that it stands up to the original Dishonored in places, and so I'm going to be using it at my disposal. The general atmosphere of Dishonored is done very well. From the style of clothing to the technology everyone has, it all works well together. I'm not one to go crazy about a specific aesthetic and say that a game is perfect because it uses the steampunk aesthetic or something like that, but I really don't think that I can imagine Dishonored in any other setting than it is. Along with the general world aesthetic, the art style is pretty pleasing to me as well. Dishonored was made in 2012, so the graphics aren't top of the line like in 2022, but it's still a really nice art style. The music and the sound effects also add to the atmosphere, but I'm going to get into that a little later. The characters of Dishonored feel really real and authentic as well. I'm not an expert writer, so I don't know exactly why these characters are the way that they are to me, but I definitely noticed this, and especially when I started playing Dishonored 2. The best example I have would be Samuel in Dishonored 1 and Megan in Dishonored 2, or however you pronounce her name. Both of them play the same role. They take you to your destination so that you can complete your mission. They both have a boat, and they both push off from the main hub, the Hound Pits pub in Dishonored 1 and the Dreadful Whale in 2. Samuel, however, seems like a much more compelling character to me than Megan. From the first time that I met Samuel, I already liked him. When I met Megan, I didn't really have any opinion of her, and I still really don't. Megan is just a taxi driver that takes you to your mission, but Samuel is a real person within the world of Dunwall. This translates to every character I've come across, whether they're just the guards or the main antagonist. Like I said, I'm not a professional writer, so I can't exactly say why Samuel seems better written than Megan, but I know what I feel about them. If anyone has any ideas as to why, throw something in the comments. I'd be really interested to hear any opinions about why they actually seem better or worse. Dishonored wouldn't fully be Dishonored without the powers given to you by the Outsider. These powers are what really make the game a unique experience. Given an arsenal of these magical powers, you can rethink the way that you go about sneaking around areas or in dealing with your enemies. Seeing as I enjoy stealth games, I try to sneak around and stay undetected as much as possible. And so the main 4 powers that I used were Blink, Dark Vision, Possession, and Bend Time. Dishonored seems to pride itself in the fact that you can approach each mission from multiple angles, and they do it very well. You can do everything lethally by taking out as many guards as possible, you can do it non-lethally by choking guards out, or just trying to sneak past them entirely. And these powers allow you to do these things in more interesting ways. If you can't seem to sneak past a guard in the traditional way, blink behind him and choke him out. If you can't get past the wall of light, possess a guard and walk through it without being harmed. Use your dark vision to know exactly when you're able to sneak past a guard without alerting him. All the powers allow a unique playstyle that suits you, and a part of that for me was the non-lethal approach to this game. As I played through the game, I was always wondering about how I was going to non-lethally take down a target, and I always appreciated how clever some of the solutions were. Using the Heretics brand on Campbell, finding Slackjaw and having him put the Pendleton twins in their own minds, things like that were pretty clever storytelling devices as to how you were able to get rid of these key authority figures without actually killing them. One thing that really makes Dishonored great is the music and various other sound effects. Daniel Licht, the composer for Dishonored, really knew how to capture the eerie feeling of Dunwall with his music. The background music is great to hear as you play, and it's also used to highlight certain dramatic points of the game. Take for example when you're in the Dunwall sewers and you come across some rats. The music really helps you feel the horror of exactly what you're witnessing. Along with the music, the general sound design of the world and powers are really well made. Each power that you use has a distinct sound when you use it, so distinct that if I were to play this sound, you would immediately know that Blink was used. Along that, the sound made when enemies are alerted really makes you feel the weight of getting caught. Compare these 2 examples of getting caught, one from Dishonored 1,
Huh? Shit!
Captain, don't fall apart on me. We'll get it.
and another from Dishonored 2.
What do you think that was?
Now, it may be a small change to some people, but to me, it really feels a lot more urgent in Dishonored 1 when you get caught, and I only really noticed how effective that is when I started playing 2. So much care was put into every aspect of Dishonored 1, even down to the sound design, and it really shows. I think that my biggest problem with Dishonored 2 and my biggest praise of Dishonored 1 is the narration from the main protagonist, or lack thereof. I noticed this right away when I started playing Dishonored 2. Take a look at these 2 clips. In both of them, the main character, Corvo in Dishonored 1 and Emily in Dishonored 2, at least that's who I chose first, is meeting the Outsider.
Hello, Corvo. Your life has taken a turn, has it not? The Empress is dead. Her precious daughter Emily is lost somewhere in the city, and you will play a pivotal role in the days to come. For this, I have chosen you and drawn you into the void. I am the Outsider, and this is my mark. There are forces in the world and beyond the world, great forces that men call magic. And now, these forces will serve your will. Use this newfound power, my gift to you. Come find me.
Am I still aboard Megan's ship? Feels odd. What is this place? Where am I? I can feel something moving closer. Watching.
Empress Emily Caldwin. I'm a friend of your father's from the bad old days. I never expected us to meet. I watched your mother die at the hands of schemers who wanted your little empire. Then you were rescued by a killer in a strange mask. I thought that was the end of the excitement. But Delilah and the Duke are flies in the ointment, aren't they? How many of your own subjects are you ready to slaughter? And what are you willing to become? 15 years ago, I asked Corvo that last question. This is the moment that changed him. Now it's your turn, Emily.
It burns from the inside. I feel like I'm standing at the edge of something. All the stories, they're true.
See the difference? In Dishonored 2, Emily has to narrate everything that's happening to her. She says something is strange. She asks where she is. She feels someone is watching her. The mark burns from the inside. None of that narration is necessary at all, and the clip from Dishonored 1 shows this perfectly. In a sense, it insults the player's intelligence. Instead of letting the player deduce what's happening based on the dialogue from the outsider and what's happening around him, Emily has to narrate everything she's experiencing, leaving no room for the player to have their own experience and think their own thoughts. In Dishonored 2, the player is told what to think and what to feel. I don't know if there is an official term for what Dishonored 1 does well, but I'm going to call it implicit exposition, and Dishonored 1 does it beautifully, because instead of having Corvo exposit everything that's happening around him by talking to himself, everything is revealed by the environment, by the enemies around him, as well as the citywide announcements coming from Dunwall Tower, and even more. The developers don't insult your intelligence and allow you to fill in the details. In a game like Dishonored, it's a good thing to leave some things a secret, or to at least shroud it in mystery. It ruins the atmosphere of the game when there's someone constantly telling you what you should feel and think. There's a lot more that I could go over about this game, but this video is pretty long already, and I don't want to make it too long. As you can tell, I love Dishonored 1. The love that went into it makes it one of the best games out there for me. If whatever small amount of people actually like this kind of video, just let me know and I might actually make another one for a different game. Also, let me know how I might be able to actually improve these kinds of videos if I decide to make any more.